Now let's turn our attention to those 4 astronauts of the Artemis lunar mission who've safely returned to Earth after completing the first crewed voyage to the moon in more than half a century. Their Orion capsule splashed down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California after nearly 10 days in space. NASA described it as a textbook touchdown and said the crew were in excellent shape. Our science editor Rebecca Romero reports from Mission Control in Houston.
Multiple airborne assets as part of the recovery team all have visuals on Integrity.
A first glimpse of the Integrity spacecraft.
Your trajectory is nominal and your recovery teams have visual.
Guidance looks good.
Descending at speed.
And Houston, we're visual 2 drogues out the window.
We copy, we see them.
A series of parachutes slow the descent. Then
Houston, Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Copy, splashdown.
A modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete.
After an epic voyage, the Artemis astronauts are home.
We sent 4 amazing people to the moon and safely returned them to Earth for the first time in more than 50 years. To the generation that now knows what we're capable of, welcome to our moonshot. We are so thrilled to have Reid, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy back here on Earth.
We have a great view of the moon out window 2. Looks a little smaller than yesterday.
Guess we'll have to go back.
Their return began hours earlier. As the moon disappears in their rearview window, the Earth looms large.
We think we see a beautiful sunrise over the west coast of Australia.
We copy.
Then a critical operation. The part of the spacecraft that got them to the moon isn't needed anymore.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window. It's in the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Roger.
Hurtling at 30 times the speed of sound, Integrity hits the Earth's atmosphere.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
As temperatures reach 2,700 degrees Celsius, the spacecraft's signal is lost. A nerve-wracking 6 minutes at mission control until...
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
With a safe splashdown, a recovery crew is ready and waiting. The capsule door opens for that first breath of fresh Earth air.
And we now have Reid Wiseman out of the vehicle, all 4 crew members now out of Integrity.
Then there's time for one more white-knuckle ride, an airlift back to the recovery ship. The crew are nearly back on dry land and happy to be home. The Artemis II mission has exceeded everyone's expectations. NASA, the millions of people who followed every step of this journey, and, not least of all, the crew. Rebecca Morrell, BBC News at Mission Control in Houston.
Well, let's speak now to Dr. Rebecca Allen, co-director of the Space Technology and Industry Institute at Swinburne University of Technology in Melbourne. Hello to you. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll talk about the mission in general in a moment, but first of all, if we can, let's talk about the splashdown and that return to Earth, the re-entry. Such a dangerous moment of the mission. If you could just talk us through just how hard it is and this extraordinary precision that they managed to achieve. They've called it a perfect bullseye splashdown, didn't they? Because it's so hard what they've done in terms of positioning where they came back through, because we had the problems last time, didn't we, with the Artemis I and that the re-entry. So just talk us through how amazing it was, basically.
Yes, look, absolutely. I have to say, this is an incredible large team of people. And thanks now, in the 2020s, we have really advanced computers and simulations that have really helped make this trajectory, very tight and precise. And you think back to the Apollo era when a lot of this was being done on the very first computers by people who are also called computers. So I just want to recognize the incredible effort of all of the team of people that go into making that happen. Of course, re-entry is so dangerous because we have a spacecraft which is traveling about 30,000 miles per hour, or about 40,000 kilometers an hour. And as it impacts the atmosphere, what happens is that there's so much friction that that amount of heat drives temperatures which are hot enough to melt rock. This is why we see meteorites burn up. The problem is we don't want the spacecraft to burn up. So over many years, starting from the shuttle program now to today, we see these really advanced heat shields. Now, like you mentioned with Artemis I, they were trying what's called a skip re-entry, which is where they were essentially trying to have a very long kind of entry trying to really be precise about where the spacecraft came down. So they had the spacecraft actually come out of the atmosphere and go fully back down in it and kind of skip in so that they could really kind of level out and go for a very long time. So what they decided, you kind of think of it as a triangle, right? And so for this one, in order to try to take a little bit more heat off and reduce that amount of time by about 6 minutes, they went for a much steeper entry. And so we'll be really interested to see once they've got that vehicle back again, like we were just mentioning, on dry land, investigating, do we see that same kind of bubbling and cracking in pieces that it might have broken off from the heat shield?
So that was the issue, that the heat shield was damaged, wasn't it, with Artemis I? They've said there was talking about how the lessons they want to learn from this, obviously that's the whole point of this really, isn't it? That there was some leakage as well that they needed to look at and learn from. What was that?
That's right. So the shield part of it, the physical shield, are these tiles, which that's what goes back to the shuttle program. That is that kind of last layer, this composite material, which is very spectacular technology. But those can crack. And we saw with Columbia that is absolutely detrimental if something like that happens. It impacts the structure of the spacecraft itself. So now we have this coating called AvCoat. And that is a very special coating, which is literally meant to burn up and off gas and take heat away from the spacecraft. What they noticed with Artemis I was that while there was unbalanced kind of heating, and so that coating was there, but it wasn't kind of burning off as evenly as they had hoped. So it actually formed pockets underneath some of the thicker regions where that heat then built up and cracked some of those tiles.
I see. Well, more generally then, what is your impression? I mean, obviously there's been a huge amount of publicity surrounding it, which NASA will see as a major win, obviously, of course. But what is the biggest thing that this has achieved?
Well, I think, as was mentioned from NASA themselves, is the fact that we have demonstrated to a generation, many generations such as myself, who didn't get to witness Apollo, that this is possible, that we are now living in another generation where human spaceflight and deep spaceflight, not just going to the International Space Station, but it is possible. And when we all come together collectively now, it's not just one country's space organization, but it's contributions from all over the world that we can take humans further than ever before.
OK, well, thank you so much for coming on the programme. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. That's Dr. Rebecca Allen, co-director of the Space Technology and Industry Institute at the University of Technology in Melbourne there.